I saw her flinch every time someone looked at her face, not because she was ashamed, but because they wouldn't let her forget. But I saw something else. I saw my daughter in her. And that changed everything. It was just another cold morning at the bustling local café. People came in, grabbed their coffee, tapped on their phones, and disappeared back into the blur of life. No one ever really looked at each other. That's why it was easy for her to come here, easy to hide among the indifference. Except today, people noticed. She had just stepped inside when the whispers began. Some were quiet, but others weren't even trying. Did you see her face? Oh my God, that scar. She should really cover that up. The young woman kept her head low, clutching a worn-out tote bag close to her chest. Her name was Maya, and the angry pink line that ran from her temple down to her chin was a permanent reminder of the night everything changed. The house fire, the hospital, the surgeries, and the months she spent alone. Not many people stuck around after the fire. Friends grew uncomfortable. Extended family gave her polite distance. Strangers either stared or avoided eye contact altogether. She learned to live with silence, but the cruelty, the whispers and mockery, that still stung. She ordered her coffee, her voice barely audible. As she waited, a group of teenage girls near the window began laughing. One pointed. The others joined in. Looks like Halloween came early. Maya's hand instinctively went to her cheek. She wanted to leave. Run. Disappear. But her legs wouldn't move. At the same moment, a man stood up from the corner table. He had been quietly sipping his coffee, his eyes following the cruel exchange with growing discomfort. He was tall, with tired eyes and a day's worth of stubble. A little girl sat across from him, no older than 7, drawing something on a napkin. He walked over to the girls. For a moment, Maya thought he might be one of them, another person coming to say something cruel in a calm, polite voice. Instead, he surprised everyone. Hey, he said, gently but firmly, looking at the laughing girls. You know, I've been sitting here watching you all make fun of someone you know nothing about. And I just want to say, shame on you. The girls fell silent. One of them scoffed. Whatever, old man. But he wasn't done. He turned to Maya. My daughter has a scar just like yours, he said, his voice soft now, loud enough only for her to hear. It makes her beautiful. Just like yours does for you. Maya's eyes widened. Her lip trembled. I know people can be cruel, he added, but that says more about them than it does about you. He turned and walked back to his daughter, who looked up at him and smiled. He ruffled her hair and took another sip of his coffee like nothing had happened. Maya stood frozen for several seconds. Then, slowly, she walked toward the corner table. He looked up as she approached. Hi, she said quietly. Can I sit for a moment? He nodded. Of course. The little girl smiled shyly. Hi. I'm Lily. Maya sat down, unsure what to say. For the first time in a long time, someone had seen her, not just her scars, but her. I'm Maya. They talked. Just for a few minutes at first, about little things, the weather, Lily's drawing, how Maya liked her coffee. But soon, the conversation deepened. The man's name was David. He had lost his wife 3 years ago in a car accident. His daughter had survived but bore a deep scar across her chest and back from the shattered glass. Like Maya, she had been mocked at school. Bullied. Isolated. I taught her something, David said, watching Lily proudly hold up a new drawing of a flower. That our scars are not signs of weakness, they're signs that we survived. And that makes us strong. Maya swallowed the lump in her throat. I wish someone had told me that sooner. David looked at her kindly. I just did. Over the following weeks, Maya found herself returning to the café, not for the coffee, but for the company. Sometimes David was there. Sometimes it was just Lily, with her crayons and boundless chatter. Slowly, she began to feel seen, heard, even cared for. One day, Lily reached across the table and placed a tiny flower in Maya's hand, a hand-drawn paper daisy. "This is you," she said proudly. "Because you're still growing, even if people can't see it." That night, Maya cried for the first time in months, not from pain, but from something she almost forgot how to feel: hope. David started inviting her to community events, small get-togethers with other single parents, support groups, art therapy sessions. Maya began volunteering at a shelter for burn survivors. She met others like her, each carrying their own story, their own scars, their own strength. She didn't hide her face anymore. She didn't shrink from whispers. She smiled more. One afternoon, after a speaking event for survivors, she spotted someone familiar in the audience. One of the same girls who had laughed at her in the café. The girl wouldn't meet her eyes. After the event, she approached Maya, awkward and fidgety. "I'm sorry," the girl mumbled. "About that day. I didn't understand. I was stupid." Maya looked at her for a moment. Then she nodded. "You were," she said. "But thank you for apologizing." That evening, as they walked out of the building, David turned to Maya. "You handled that with grace." She smiled. "You taught me how." Months passed. Maya had become a mentor, a voice of hope for others, and a friend. She still bore the scar on her face, but now, it was a mark of her journey, not her shame. She often shared her story publicly, and each time she did, she ended with the same message. Don't let anyone make you believe your scars make you less. They mean you fought something that tried to break you, and you're still here. Still standing. That makes you brave. That makes you beautiful. One day, after giving a talk at a school, a girl ran up to her, crying. "I was bullied because of my face," the girl sobbed. "I didn't want to come to school anymore." Maya knelt, held her hand, and said, "You are not alone. And you never will be again." In the closing scene, Maya is seen once again at the café, laughing with Lily and David. She's wearing a colorful scarf, not to hide her scar, but because it matched Lily's drawing. A new girl walks in. She hesitates, her arm visibly scarred. People stare. Whisper. Just like they once did with Maya. David sees her. So does Maya. She stands up, walks over, and smiles at the girl. "Would you like to sit with us?" The girl nods slowly. And just like that, the cycle of kindness continues. Sometimes, it only takes one person to change the course of a life. Someone who sees the pain and chooses compassion instead of judgment. Be that person. Because scars don't make us ugly. They make us human. They make us strong. They make us real.